Hello, future garden volunteer. Welcome to the Answering Your Plants Garden. Thank you for your interest in gardening with the ASU State Garden Commission, Fresh Basic Needs Hub, and GSRC. This video will serve as a short basic training video to have you become accustomed to our garden guidelines. After the video, you'll be sent a short quiz to finish to test your knowledge. After passing, you'll be sent a certificate of completion via email.
Before you enter the garden, make sure you're not feeling sick or have any injuries such as cuts or wounds. If you are feeling sick, please consider coming back to the garden another day when you are feeling better. If you are injured or have open wounds, make sure they are covered before coming in the garden. If you get injured while working in the garden, let the garden supervisor know right away so that you can get proper treatment and not contaminate any produce. Closed-toed shoes are required when working in the garden. You are welcome to come extra prepared with other optional clothing such as long pants, long sleeve shirts, and a hat. This ensures that you won't contaminate the produce and is mostly for your own safety. Whenever you visit the garden, make sure to wash your hands. Start by rinsing your hands and then get a pump of antibacterial soap. Lather for at least 30 seconds and be sure to work up to your wrists and under your fingernails. Finally, rinse and dry your hands with the available paper towel. Dispose of the paper towel in the green compost bin. You will want to be sure to wash your hands again if they get dirty while working in the garden or if you leave and re-enter. Now let's talk about the potential sources of contamination we must be aware of when in the garden. Since we're going to be growing food, we have to take the necessary precautions to make sure it's safe to eat. Potential sources of contamination include outside food and drink, so be sure to only bring water with you into the garden. Produce that grows above the ground but has fallen to the ground. We only harvest produce for consumption if it is picked up directly from the plant, not the ground. Animals including pets, so please leave Fluffy at home. Animal droppings, aphids, injured, punctured, or rotten produce. If you come across any of the sources of contamination, be sure to inform your garden supervisor right away. The garden provides tools and equipment, but you are welcome to bring your own. If you do, make sure to clean them before and after use. Gardening gloves are not required, but we recommend them to ensure your safety, since some weeds can be spiky and uncomfortable to pull with bare hands. If you borrow the garden's gloves, make sure they go back into the proper storage. For composting, make sure you use the designated composting gloves and wash your hands afterwards too. Only add plant products into the compost. Valid composting materials include fruit cores, vegetable trimmings, grass clippings, weeds, leaves, and twigs. Do not add mixed food waste or any animal products such as meat, manure, or dairy into the compost tumbler. Lastly, make sure that the compost reaches a temperature of at least 130 degrees Fahrenheit before use. Produce grown at the Answering Your Plants Garden is organic, so we don't use chemical herbicides or fertilizers. We control weeds by using mulch or pulling them out. If we are harvesting during a shift in the garden, we will use these black designated food grade containers. Be sure to wash your hands or wear clean gloves before harvesting. We might use harvesting tools like knives or scissors that we will wash before and after the harvest. Lastly, make sure to brush, shake, and rub off any excess garden soil or debris before putting produce into the harvest container. The produce we harvest will now be delivered to the Fresh Basic Needs Hub, a student-initiated effort that promotes equitable access to basic needs. The produce will be available to students experiencing food insecurity at the food pantry. Your work in the garden has helped feed another student in need. This video went over potential sources of contamination and how to avoid them, and proper gardening procedures such as hand washing, tending for the garden, composting, harvesting, and cleaning up. Depending on the task of the day when you're in the garden, your supervisor will demonstrate proper handling and storage of equipment and tools. We hope you found this video useful. Now, go ahead and take the quiz below. After completing the quiz with a score of 80% or higher, you will be contacted via email with your certificate and the next step. In the meantime, tell your friends, classmates, and housemates about the garden. Invite them to join you in the garden where they can get some fresh air, de-stress, and connect with other students. Growing food is a very rewarding experience, and learning how to garden can help understand the process that goes into growing the food you eat regularly. Thank you for your interest in the garden and taking the time to watch this video. We hope to see you in the garden soon.